My name is Caz Beaumont, but everybody calls me Caz. I'm 45 years old and I live at Ringarooma, and I've been living here for about 6 years. My ties to the coast probably started back when I was in my mother's womb. She tells the story that she travelled down to Bennelong Bay and stayed at our shack um, when she was pregnant with me, and every year after that I was at Bennelong Bay. And I was brought up basically on the beach through my parents' involvement in the surf club, through fishing and boating, swimming, surfing, everything you can possibly think of when it comes to the beach. And it was great, I loved it. It was just the best upbringing, great lifestyle. Bennelong Bay is on the east coast of Tasmania, and it's paradise. It's like a piece of paradise in Tasmania. And it's like you're somewhere different. It's a whole new world. It's magic. And the, the, the sand is white and it's pristine and it squeaks in your feet and it's thick. And when you pick it up, it's like silk. It's just beautiful, and you can make the best sandcastles on the beaches at Bennelong Bay. And there's beautiful shells everywhere, and the beaches go on forever. Like there's miles and miles of one beach which goes around to the Bay of Fires, and there's all these little bays with all these grey rocks with touches of orange everywhere, like they've been painted, like splats of orange paint, and the water is just crystal clear blue. Like you can, in the shallows, you can just see everything that's on the bottom of the shoreline. It's just beautiful. Everything's different, and it's just magic. And there's lots of little rock pools and places to swim, and then there's little pebble beaches, and there's a lovely spot there for boating and just everything you can possibly imagine. It's heaven. Well, the coastline mainly that I've been in is around Devonport and around the Bluff, which is one of the main beaches in Devonport, and the Coles Beach area. And they are just lovely beaches, really nice bays. I was raised in those areas. There's great rock life there and sea life and shallow areas with rocks, so a lovely little reef area, and it's great in low tide because all the crabs come out and all the kids like to go down and look at the crabs and the bloodsuckers and everything like that. But great for swimming and great for surfing. And around near the Victoria Parade area on Devonport, all the surfers come out, especially in winter when it's blowing a gale and it's raining. The surfers just come from everywhere, and you can go down and sit there and watch them. It's unreal. They get stuck into it. It's quite dangerous because there's, the rock breakers are there, and that's a great life. It's a great place to bring up kids. And also I've spent a lot of time at Bridport, which is on the coast of northeast Tasmania, and that is very similar to the east coast beaches. Very, white sand and lovely bays, big long beaches, and they have an old pier beach, and there's a lot of history there. Beautiful for swimming and snorkeling and just everything. There's dog beaches where you can walk your dogs, and that's hard to find nowadays as well. So there's just so much to do, but my favourite thing to do is just to be in the water and just swim and float and spend ages doing nothing in the water. It's just great. I love the coast of Tasmania so much. I'm really passionate about it, and so when you're passionate about something, you care about something and you have concerns about them. It's like a child. You want to look after it and watch it grow and mature into something wonderful. And my concerns, I suppose, are that I've seen changes over the years along our coastlines and in the oceans and with our fishing industry, and that worries me somewhat, because I want it to be wonderful for my grandchildren. My children are young adults now, but I really want to see everything maintained, sustained and looked after. So caring for our coastline is really important to me. And I have seen changes. I've seen changes in the texture of the sand. I've seen changes in our rock formations and what's happening to them. I've seen different changes with fishing. You know, back when I was younger, when we were at Billabong Bay and around all those coastal areas on the east coast, you could jump off the rocks down into the kelp and grab a cray. Now that just doesn't happen so much. You know, you have to go to places like Tema Harbour and other places and way out off the coastline to really fish well. I mean, the fish are still there, but not in abundance like they used to be, which is probably par for the course, considering we've done a lot of fishing over the years. But yeah, I have seen those changes, and one thing that I have seen more of is pollution, you know, the littering and whatever it is that's been caused, whether it's rubbish off boats or whether it's just people being careless around the beach areas or through sewerage or whatever. There seems to be a lot more washing up on the shores now than there used to be. And I've seen that for myself, and that really concerns me. And I'm hoping that our younger generation will become more aware and start sorting out some of the problems that are causing it. I think that we have to have a responsibility as individuals and as a community to look after our coastlines so much better than we are, so much better than we have done in the past. That's so important. I think it's a priority issue to maintain and preserve for our children, for our future generations. I mean, the things that we're doing now are great. The litter campaigns are great. The environmental campaigns that we're doing are great. But we've got a long way to go. There's so much more. We need to develop programs and training for our fishermen. I mean, I know that's all happening, but it needs to be taken a little bit more seriously. And I know that young students learn a lot about, you know, marine care and marine environmental pollution when they're studying and when they're training. However, there's a lot of young fishermen and older fishermen out there that, you know, are quite happy to throw anything overboard. And I know because I've seen that for myself. But also in our general coast areas, just don't litter. You know, don't throw things on the ground. Put them where they're supposed to go. Just the simple things. If we all start doing the simple things and work together as a holistic team, we can prevent some of this environmental pollution and things like that. There's a lot of things that the government need to do and prioritise to make changes. I could just go on and on and on. But they know, we know, now we've really got to act upon it and get serious about it. And we've got to educate our young people, our future generation, through our schools. Take it a little bit more seriously. Because I think someone, you know, has this idea, or some people have this idea, that someone else will clean it up. But, you know, the buck stops with us. When I was younger, and I'm talking like when I was about 10, on the beach, one of the beaches on Billabong Bay, we'd go out at night, you know, we'd all sit around anxiously waiting, you know, in anticipation for darkness to fall so that we could get the nets. You know, the guys would go out on the boats with the nets, and then there'd be, you know, probably 8 of us on the beach, and they'd throw the nets out and they'd go out and they'd pull them in, and we'd net off the beach, and they would bring the nets in, and we'd you know, haul the nets in, and it would just be chock-a-block full of fish and everything you could think of, you know, and it was a feast. It was an absolute feast, and that's what we would have the next day for lunch, you know, and possibly tea as well, because I'm one of 6, so there was always aunties and uncles and cousins and everyone. And it was great, but we would only take what we needed for ourselves, because my family were very responsible about that. And whatever we couldn't eat would go back into the water. But there was always an abundance. And here about 5 years ago, I did the same thing with a group of friends and with people that I know. And I've talked to lots of people who say, you just can't net off the beach anymore. There's just not it's just not the abundance of marine life and sea life there that you used to get. So, you know, which figures, you know, we've probably We've done a lot of fishing over the years, but it's sad in a way. And back then, I suppose we didn't realise what it was we were doing. We were all fishing so, intently and seriously that, yeah, it makes you think, did we overdo it? Is there enough to sustain our future generations? It is different. And, like I said before with the crayfish, my dad used to be able to grab a cray, spear a cray. It just doesn't happen anymore. You've got to go right out, you've got to have a pot. I mean, they used cray pots as well, but you just don't get the amount of crays. And I've heard stories from people that, fish regularly and use cray pots around the Tema Harbour area, and they just don't pull as many crays as what they used to. But they're still there, probably not to the amount that there used to be. And that does concern me in a way. Oh well, in a way, it concerns me. When we're talking about preserving our resources for the future, I think about taking responsibility. I think as individuals we have to commit to our own responsibility of, if we're going to fish, how much do we fish? How much do we use? How, do we throw it back? We have to have a commitment of responsibility to our marine life so that it does sustain us into the future. I suppose I genuinely feel that we're a generation now that just wants everything and wants everything so quickly, and we want all this wonderful sea life, or seafood, which is sea life really, and there's more restaurants now, we've got a bigger population, there are more cafes, and everybody wants, and that's okay, but we have to do it in a way that, well, committed to the responsibility of holding back a bit about what we want, because it's not always really what we need. There's just a few things I'd like to say about our future generation and about young people, because I work as a youth worker, and I feel really positive that our future generation, our young people of today, and our young adults are more aware of what's happening in the environment. They're more aware of responsibility to our coastlines and our marine life, compared to when I was a younger person, and I was a bit of an outcast because of my environmental awareness. Nowadays it's cool, it's good, it's a positive thing to know about what's going on. I think it's improving, and I feel positive that our young people are going to take on more responsibility about looking after our environment and our coastlines and our marine life. So that's great, and it's something that I incorporate into my work and into my lifestyle and with my own children, and I feel good about that, so I have hope. And isn't that what it's all about? Our kids' future depends on our coasts and our oceans.